Good morning. I'm Rob Craig Coleman, a member of the Worship Arts team and your worship associate this morning. My pronouns are he and him. We welcome you here today as we join together to create a space where we nurture and explore individual spirituality, build a committed and loving community, and help heal our world. If this is your first time with us, we're really happy you've joined us. I invite you to visit our webpage to learn more about our beloved community. There you can connect with our staff, or for those of you who are here in the sanctuary this morning, please come and see me after the service so we can get you better acquainted with our community. And also join us in Fellowship Hall, where everyone else is gathering for social hour after the service. There will be refreshments and conversation, and again, a welcome for you. Today's worship leader is the Reverend Linda Goodman. Reverend Linda is an ordained interfaith minister. Her spiritual path meandered through many faith traditions, and she enjoyed 30 years as an active Unitarian Universalist, offering music and lay-led worship services. Most recently, she has served as the presiding minister, spiritual mentor, and music minister at the Tree of Life InterfaithTemple in Amherst, New Hampshire. Now retired from full-time ministry, she is more actively enjoying a circuit of guest ministries at UU churches throughout New England. Welcome to our chancel, Reverend Linda, and a welcome again to all who are joining us today in worship.
I offer these opening words by Carl Seberg. Let there be joy in our coming together this morning. Let there be truth heard in the words we speak and the songs we sing. Let there be help and healing for our disharmony and despair. Let there be silence for the voice within us and beyond us. And let there be joy in our coming together. As we light our chalice this morning with Unitarian Universalists all around the globe, I invite you to call into your heart the flame we kindle this morning, the flame of truth, of community, of commitment to love and to justice. Please join me in reciting our chalice lighting words, which can be found on laminated sheets with the hymnals behind the pews. In the light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment we gather this day, may the flame we now kindle be to us a symbol of the holiness we seek. Each week, we recite our children's affirmation as a reminder of the most important elements of who we are. Will any young people who'd like to help lead us come forward now?
It's a little bit of a production. It's a little bit of a production.
Okay. So please join me in reciting these words. We are Unitarian Universalists, the Church of the open mind, the loving heart, and the helping hands. Thank you. Please rise in body or in spirit as we sing our opening hymn. Number 361 in the gray hymnal, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In.
children to come forward. Come on in, guys.
This is a story written by the Dalai Lama of Tibet and the Archbishop Desmond Tutu of South Africa. One of us grew up in a big house. One of us grew up in a very small house. Our houses. I'm sorry, I'm giggling because my pages are out of order. Our houses were worlds apart. Often we were sad and lonely. We're gonna. It sounded like a great idea. Both of us wished for a friend. Sometimes the other kids wouldn't let us play. Or they were very, very far away, and we wondered if we would always be sad and lonely. If you just focus on the thing that is making you sad, then the sadness is all you see. But if you look around, you will see that joy is everywhere. Joy is the warm, tingly feeling of the sun tickling your toes in the morning. It's the giggly, squiggly feeling when you were doing something silly. And it's a soft, snuggly feeling of being all wrapped up cozy in your bed at night. Even when you're caught in the rain and your joy is washed away, it's waiting at the bottom of the puddle. Even if you slam the door and your joy can't get in, it's just on the other side waiting in a loving hug. And even if there's a loud noise in the night and your joy gets scared away, it comes streaming right back with the light of the silvery moon. Joy is the bubbly, bouncy feeling of finding a good friend. And once you let joy in like magic, your heart always has room for more. We discovered that the more joy we shared, the more joy we had. And the more joy we had, the more joy we could share. So look for the joy all around you and share it. Write it in a letter, play it on a drum, sing it to the sky. It will travel up in the air, across the ocean. Someone will find it. And share it. And as it spreads from person to person, the world will fill with joy. By His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu, Archbishop of Southern Africa. The end.
So our kids will either return to the family chancel or they can go off to their classes. We'll sing them out with our usual song.
We take time during our service to light our candles of community, peace, and justice. We light our red candle of community to signify our interconnection. Wherever you are in time and space, newcomer or longtime member, here in the sanctuary or joining us virtually, we light this candle holding you in love. As we light this candle, I invite you to speak aloud the name or names of people who are on your mind and in your heart today to bring them fully into this space. Penny. We light our blue candle of peace for the multitude of places worldwide where people live with the threat of war and violence. We especially acknowledge those in Palestine and the Sudan who suffer from multiple horrors brought on by war and sectarian violence. And we light our yellow candle of justice. We pray for our citizens being threatened and brutalized in our cities and countryside. And we celebrate our citizens who stood up this past Tuesday to say yes to change. May all people everywhere live their lives in freedom, and may we each do our part in the work of justice and liberation for all at home and in our global community. As we recommit ourselves to the work of love and justice, may we each voice this commitment by saying, Amen. 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 O source of all that is, source of love and divinity, hear our prayers. May the love and joy that we can engender in this community reach out, drawing the circle wider still until it encompasses the globe and tips the balance of love over hate. May it be so. Amen. We come together today with full hearts, whether you're celebrating a joy or a triumph, or feeling the heaviness of loss and grief. You're invited to come forward and light a candle in recognition of your place in this community, that no matter what your heart may hold this day, you are loved, and we are here for you.
Our reading today comes from Illusions, The Adventures of a Reluctant Messiah by Richard Bach. There was a master come onto the earth, born in the holy land of Indiana, raised in the mystical hills just east of Fort Wayne. And he said to the multitudes, if a man told God that he wanted most of all to help the suffering world, no matter the price to himself, and God answered and told him what he must do, should the man do as he was told? Of course, Master, cried the many. It should be pleasure for him to suffer the tortures of hell itself, should God ask it. No matter what these tortures, nor how difficult the task? Honor to be hanged, glory to be nailed to a tree and burned, if so be what God has asked, said they. And what would you do, the master said unto the multitude, if God spoke directly to your face and said, I command that you be happy in the world as long as you live? What would you do then?
And the multitude was silent. Not a voice, not a sound was heard upon the hillsides across the valleys where they stood. And the master said unto the silence, in the path of our happiness shall we find the learning for which we have chosen this lifetime. Joy is an inside job. In a time of great suffering and misery, it's easy to forget that joy is our birthright. Joy is meant to be our default setting. We arrive in this world, after all, as a bundle of joy. But at some point, we all experience suffering. How can I be happy in a world full of suffering? If we sink into despair, we might think, if only I had a more fulfilling job, I could be happy. If only I could find my true love, I could be happy. If only my candidate won, I could be happy. If only my health was better, I could be happy. If only the world was not collapsing around me, I could be happy. A man came to the Buddha and said, I want happiness. Buddha said, first remove the I. That's ego. Then remove want. That's desire. See, now you're left with only happiness. In 2015, Archbishop Desmond Tutu traveled to Dharamsala, India, to celebrate the 80th birthday of his old friend, the Dalai Lama. The conversations and interviews of these two Nobel Peace Prize winners were captured in the Book of Joy by Douglas Abrams. Neither of these spiritual leaders is a stranger to suffering and trauma. One grew up in poverty in apartheid South Africa. One grew up in a 1,000-room palace in Tibet. Both have been victims of the oppressive authoritarian power structures of their separate home countries. These two venerable spiritual leaders embody what a joy-filled life looks like. The Archbishop's daughter describes the meeting of these old friends as having the energy of two 8-year-old boys. They tease each other. They poke at each other. They laugh. They laugh at each other and at themselves. After a somewhat serious conversation on interfaith tolerance, concluding that the problem is not so much with the faiths but with the faithful, the Archbishop quips, "Too bad you're a Buddhist." They laugh. And the Dalai Lama says, "Too bad you are a Christian." And they laugh even harder. The author who interviewed them asks, "What is it about your friendship that allows such joy?" After a brief pause, the Archbishop answers simply, "He is always troubling me." The Dalai Lama strokes his friend's smooth, bald head and says, "See, now he looks like a monk." And they laugh. With another attempt to address something serious, the interviewer asks, "How do you think about your own death?" After a thoughtful moment, the Archbishop says, he doesn't mind too much because he has reincarnation. In the book written by Douglas Abrams and based on his week of interviewing the Dalai Lama and Archbishop Desmond Tutu, they offer these 8 pillars of joy for living a joy-filled life. First pillar of joy is perspective. We can't control the causes of suffering, but we can always control how we choose to react. Viewing things from a broader perspective allows us to find the positive in our suffering. We may be stuck in a traffic jam. We've no control over the traffic. We can choose to act out of rage and frustration, or we can practice patience, listen to some good music, claim the opportunity to relax and meditate until things move along again. The astronauts have said that once you glimpse the Earth from the higher perspective of space, you will never look at personal or national interests in the same way. You have a greater understanding of the preciousness of our earthly home and the interconnectedness of all her inhabitants. The Dalai Lama had to embark on a dangerous escape. Exile from his family, his home, his country. He's now lived over a half-century in exile. From a broader perspective, it has given him the freedom to discover the broader world and make a much greater impact on that world than he ever would have from his monastery in Tibet. From one angle, one perspective, it was a sad, terrible, tragic event. From another perspective, it was an opportunity for broader horizons, new relationships. Archbishop Tutu says that taking the God's eye perspective allows for the birth of empathy, and empathy creates joy, not only in the one, but in the many. The second pillar of joy is humility. The Dalai Lama says, if I think I'm something special, there's anxiety. When he gives a talk, he sees himself as one human being talking to other equal humans. And then there is no anxiety. Feeling that you are superior to others, you've created a separation, and you feel like you're alone. You are not alone. We are all in this together. Be neither arrogant nor bogged in self-denial and doubt. He tells the story of an interfaith meeting in New Delhi of many world spiritual leaders. A very serious Hindu mystic seated next to him demanded that his chair should be higher than the others. The stage managers got some bricks and put them under the legs of the chair. All through the meeting, the Dalai Lama could hardly contain his laughter as he imagined the chair falling from the bricks and dumping the yogi on his humility. The Archbishop asks him at this point, "So did you pull out a brick?" Archbishop Tutu tells of a bishop who was helping 3 bishop candidates to prepare for their examinations. One of the candidates asked for a recommendation for a book on humility. The bishop said, "There's several books in the library, including the one I've written. Mine is the best book on humility." Humility allows us to celebrate the gifts of others. It does not mean denying your own gifts or shrinking from offering them. You may or may not be the best, but you are the one who is here now. You are the one who is needed here now to fulfill your unique part in the plan. The third pillar of joy is humor. Humor paves the way for the next pillar of joy. To the author of the Book of Joy, Douglas Abrams, Archbishop Tutu and the Dalai Lama seemed as much a comedy duo as two venerable spiritual leaders. Both men had the ability to laugh at life's troubles, at their own very human foibles. Laughter has always been a respite from pain, a diffuser of tensions and a cultivator of joy. And now science has shown us that laughter boosts the immune system, relaxes the body, and protects the heart by lowering stress hormones which cause destructive inflammation. The fourth pillar of joy is acceptance. The Dalai Lama says that stress and anxiety come from our expectation of how life should be. When we're able to accept that life is how it is, not as we think it should be, we're able to ease the ride and to go from that bumpy axle, or dukkha in Sanskrit, with all of its suffering, stress, anxiety, and dissatisfaction, to the smooth axle, sukha, with its greater ease, comfort, and happiness. Suffering comes from reacting to people and circumstances rather than accepting them. What are your options? Whether you accept your situation or not does not change the reality of your situation. Now, this is not passive resignation and defeat. Acceptance of reality is the only place from which change can begin. Work to change what needs changing. But do not hate those who do harmful things. The compassionate thing is to do what you can to stop them, for they are harming themselves as well as those who suffer from their actions. The fifth pillar of joy is forgiveness. Having learned acceptance of the present, we are free to also release ourselves from the past through forgiveness. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission in post-apartheid South Africa included mothers of the young men who had been lured into a booby trap and killed by government forces. One mother said she'd turned on her television and seen her son's body being dragged through the neighborhood. On top of the anguish of her son's murder, she felt great anger at the inhumanity, at the degrading treatment of his body. When the murderer appeared before the commission the first time, she was so angry she took off her shoe and threw it at him. Later, she was able to embrace him and call him my child. Anthony Ray Hinton was a black man who spent 30 years on death row for a crime he did not commit. He had witnesses who testified that he was at work during the robberies when 2 store clerks were killed, and the ballistics on the bullets did not match his mother's gun, but one witness to the crime pointed to his picture in a photo array, and that was enough for the conviction of a black man in Alabama. His own defense attorney said, "You blacks always say you didn't do it." After the U.S. Supreme Court finally overturned his conviction, he appeared on an episode of 60 Minutes. The interviewer asked him if he was angry over losing 30 years of his life. He replied, "If I'm angry and unforgiving, they will have taken the rest of my life." Forgiveness doesn't mean forget. Don't allow yourself to be harmed again. Stand firm against wrong action and seek justice. Protect yourself from further harm. But without forgiveness, we remain tethered to the person who harmed us. Holding on to grievance robs us of our joy. Let go and move forward with peace. It's not easy, Archbishop Tutu says. Those who say forgiveness is a sign of weakness haven't tried it. The sixth pillar of joy is gratitude. In this season of nurturing gratitude, I share this wisdom from these great spiritual leaders. The Dalai Lama has often said, every day, think as you wake up, I am fortunate to be alive. I have a precious human life. I am not going to waste it. The Archbishop encourages us to see the glass half full by remembering that millions in the world are hungry and will not have had the kind of breakfast that you had, the warm bed that you slept in, the hot shower, the clean clothes. This is not to blame you in any way for the suffering of others, but to acknowledge the blessings that are yours with gratitude. Gratitude is the recognition of all the ways we are held and supported by this web of life. Both Christian and Buddhist traditions recognize that gratitude is how we shift our perspective from lack to abundance. The Benedictine monk and scholar, Brother David Steindl-Rast, explains, it is not happiness that makes us grateful. It is gratefulness that makes us happy. Every moment is a gift. The gift within every gift is the opportunity it offers us. Most often, it is the opportunity to enjoy it, but sometimes a difficult gift is given to us, and that can be an opportunity to rise to the challenge. The Dalai Lama offers that one can be grateful even for one's enemies because they can be our most precious spiritual teachers. They help us develop our spiritual practice and cultivate equanimity in the face of adversity. The Archbishop remarked that the Chinese had unintentionally given the world a great gift by invading Tibet. The spiritual leadership of the exiled Dalai Lama is no longer walled up in a palace in Tibet, but available to the whole world. Scientists tell us that our brains have evolved with a negative half-empty bias. That was no doubt once advantageous to our survival. Gratitude allows us to reset that default. A UC Davis study found that grateful people are not just naive, choosing to ignore the negative aspects of life. They simply choose to appreciate what is positive as well. People with a strong disposition toward gratitude have the capacity to be empathic and to take the perspective of others. They are rated as more generous and more helpful by people in their social networks. This study also indicated that grateful people feel better about their lives and make more progress toward their important goals. Does focusing on the positive allow us to be complacent about the suffering of others? Not at all. The UC Davis study showed that gratitude is motivating, not demotivating. The Dalai Lama's gratitude for his life, even though exiled from his beloved homeland, does not prevent him from advocating for a free Tibet. Appreciation of our life deepens our connection with others and awakens our compassionate desire to ease their suffering. There may be suffering in the world, but at this moment, in this time, I am alive, I am warm, I am fed, I am loved, I have enough, and I am grateful. Gratitude is a happiness generator and fundamental to joy. Grateful people are joyful people. In our limited time on earth, why waste any of it focusing on the negative? Along with the Dalai Lama, we can start out each morning with, I thank you for another precious day to be alive. I will not waste it. The seventh pillar of joy is compassion. The Dalai Lama says if you develop a strong sense of concern for the well-being of all sentient beings, and in particular all human beings, this will make you happy in the morning, even before coffee. Exploring the roots of the word compassion, we find that passion is the willingness to suffer for something. Calm means with. So compassion is a willingness to suffer with someone. Our connectedness, our empathy leads to compassion. But compassion goes further. When we see a person being crushed under a rock, we don't crawl under it with her. We work to remove the rock. We're called to love others as we love ourselves. Now, there is a little catch to this. Do we love ourselves, or do we have a practice of berating ourselves? My friend recently shared that if she treated others the way she treats herself, she would be arrested. Practice being as kind and compassionate to yourself as you would be to a loved one in difficulty. The Sikh lawyer and activist Valerie Carr has a practice where she journals to herself from the perspective of a loving, nurturing, feminine deity. When she's had a particularly trying day, she writes to herself, "My beloved one, you are tired. You put your feet up now and put on some music. Have a nice cup of tea and sit with me and know how loved you are." Imagine writing that to yourself. By actively practicing self-compassion, it will be that much easier to share compassion with others. And the eighth pillar of joy is generosity. Joy is the reward of seeking to give joy to others. Giving makes space for more to be given to you. Generosity is a core principle of world faith traditions. In the Christian faith, it is called charity. Zakat is one of the pillars of Islam. Tzedakah is the Jewish practice, and the Hindus and the Buddhists call it dana. But it is an essential principle of all major world faith traditions. Look at the Dead Sea. It receives fresh water, beautiful waters from rain, from rivers, but it has no outlet, so it doesn't pass the water on. It receives and it does not give, and that is why it is dead. Generosity underlines our interdependence and our need for each other. The practice of generosity is not only the gifts of material things. We give of our time, our teachings, our spirit, and our acts of compassion. The Dalai Lama says, "Remember, you are not alone, and you do not need to finish the work. It takes time, but we are learning. We are growing. We are becoming the people we want to be." It helps no one if you sacrifice your joy because others are suffering. We people who care must be attractive, must be filled with joy so that others recognize that caring, that helping and being generous are not a burden. They are a joy. Gift the world your love, your service, your healing, but you must also give it your joy. This, too, is a great gift. In generosity of spirit, we are practicing all the other pillars of joy. In generosity, there's a wider perspective in which we see our connection to all others. There is a humility that recognizes our place in the world and acknowledges that at another time we could be the one in need, whether that need is material, emotional, or spiritual. There's a sense of humor and an ability to laugh at ourselves so that we do not take ourselves too seriously. There's an acceptance of life in which we do not force life to be other than what it is. And there's a forgiveness of others and a release of what might otherwise have been. There's a gratitude for all that we've been given. Finally, we see others with a deep compassion and a desire to help those who are in need. And from this comes a generosity that is called wise selfish by the Dalai Lama, a generosity that recognizes helping others as helping ourselves. As he put it, in fact, taking care of others, helping others, ultimately is the way to discover your own joy and to have a happy life. And with that, I will let Rob invite you to generosity.
Generosity is demonstrated by Linda for covering for me on the reading. Each Sunday, UUCR gives half the money received in the collection plate to a nonprofit organization that shares our UU values. It's a simple yet powerful way for each of us to help heal the world. Our Share the Plate recipient for November is UUSC Guest at Your Table. That's the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. Guest at Your Table is an annual fundraising initiative taken up by the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. They work together with the international community of over 50 grassroots partners to advance human rights and social justice in more than 20 countries. Countless individuals around the world benefit from the work that the member congregations, like us, make possible. Please give generously to our Share the Plate offering to support both the Guest at Your Table and the mission of UUCR. If this is your first time with us, please let the plate pass you by. Your presence is gift enough. Thank you, Reverend Linda, for being with us today. And thanks to all who contributed to this morning's worship. Our ushers, Robin Matsky and Sherry Cook, flowers, the lovely flowers from Audrey DePillo. I thank Tirza for helping me out in other tasks of worship. And of course, we always want a special thanks to Joe Beninati for his musical gifts to us when he comes. In our congregational life this week, we invite you to attend Buddhist meditation in person or via Zoom at 7:15 on Monday. On Wednesday, the Liberal Ladies and Friends will meet at 10:30, and at 7 p.m., the Recovery Dharma Group will meet. Choir returns to rehearsal here in the sanctuary on Thursday at 7:30, and men's group meets via Zoom at 10 a.m. on Sunday. Now, hearing these things does not absolve you from reading the newsletter. Please check that out as well, because there are many other things in there that are worth hearing and reading as well. Next Sunday, November 16th, Reverend Linda will again join us in worship. And on Sunday, November 23rd, the Reverend Melissa Carville-Ziemer will be leading our worship as we observe our Thanksgiving bread communion. And now I want to welcome our wonderful, hardworking Kris Kringle Fair Chair, Martha Moore, to the chancel with an announcement about yesterday's fair.
Images from yesterday. Smiling faces. Surfaces packed with merchandise becoming rapidly empty. Crowds around the jewelry table. Printing more snack bar order forms. Festive holiday attire and music. Rosebud staff and families enjoying the fair. Kevin calmly processing credit card payments. Cleanup crew rapidly transforming the space back to church ready, discovering our event sexton Abe kept busy doing yard work between trash runs. So many smiling faces, all signs of a great fair. The report from David Oakes confirms that. He said, the fair income currently stands at $19,023. Last year, the final income was $17,920, so the fair has already raised $1,103 more than last year, without accounting for the income we'll receive from silent auction and post-fair sales. Final bids from the silent auction totaled $1,998. So we will be over $21,000 soon. It could be even more if you all browse the boutique, country store, and silent auction post-fair tables during fellowship hour. Thank you to all of you who made this happen. My right-hand man, Kevin, who stepped up to be the, what did he call it? Apprentice this year. Whether you worked, donated, shopped, or all three, it was all of you who made this possible. Thank you.
You know, Martha, with numbers like that, maybe we'll have to be careful about letting you go.
I never said anything about go. We have a buddy now. I'm going to go out and help do the silent auction.
And now I want to invite Molly Smith forward to share something with us.
This is going to be hard. I don't know about you, but I've been in deep denial about something about to occur at UCR. I keep hoping it won't really happen, but the fact is, Drew Wood Beckwith and Jeff Beckwith are moving to Greensboro, North Carolina on Tuesday. I know I am not the only one having a hard time with this difficult goodbye. Although excited for Drew and Jeff as they face this next big chapter, I just keep thinking about how much we're going to miss them. For 30 years, Drew and Jeff have given so much of their time, talent, and love to our community, and they are leaving an enduring legacy. I won't recite all the details of their extensive UCR resumes, mostly because I would have you here all afternoon. But I do want to recognize and express gratitude for some of their most invaluable contributions, and I know that expressing gratitude is really important. Drew, you have been a trusted and steadfast go-to person for so many essential needs and important roles at UCR. To name a few, she served on the governing board, she was vice president of programming. For years, she has held indispensable leadership roles at the Kris Kringle Fair, at Attic Treasures, and then the Bake Table, and at the Starlight Soiree and the auction. She led the campaign for our desperately needed new floor in Community Hall, and she's a long-term regular with the Bread and Roses team. But perhaps her most vital role here at church has been her many years as a deeply dedicated member and then leader of our pastoral care team. So many of us have been touched by Drew's compassionate support. And Jeff, he has also generously shared so much, his wisdom, his good humor, his talents, and his gift for leadership at UCR. He was our governing board president. He was the chair of our committee on ministry for years. He was our moderator for, I think, nearly a decade. And our long-term Attic Treasures tent salesman extraordinaire, as you all got to witness again yesterday. Jeff is perhaps most famous at UCR for his unparalleled expertise on all matters pertaining to our church bylaws. Sherry Cook affectionately calls Jeff the godfather of the bylaws. But she stresses that he always balanced this mastery of rules and procedures with an unwavering focus on the heart of our community. And on top of all this, I am willing to bet that no one has put up and taken down more tables in Fellowship Hall for more church functions than Drew and Jeff. Whatever the event, coffee hours, receptions, potlucks, the soiree, Drew and Jeff did so much of the behind-the-scenes heavy lifting. And I'm also willing to bet that no one has done more cooking and baking for important church functions and for individuals and church families than Drew. In fact, when thinking about our special plans for a coffee hour today, I thought, do we even know how to do this without Drew and Jeff? So Drew and Jeff, I speak for all of us when I say thank you so very much for all of the time, dedication, commitment, and love you have so generously shared with this community over several decades now. To quote Melissa Martin, you leave behind an indelible mark and a legacy of kindness. You will be very missed, but we wish you all the best with this next life adventure. The UU Church of Greensboro doesn't yet know how incredibly lucky they are that you two will be joining them soon. We have a special gift for you that we will be giving to you at our coffee hour in your honor soon. We invite you all to join this special coffee hour so that you can express your gratitude and best wishes to Drew and Jeff. And I guess we'll all see if we manage to pull this off without them.
don't know how many could see that while we were applauding and standing, Jeff was going. We're going to miss you. And as much as we appreciate what Martha does, and Drew and Jeff have done, and what we can point to other people, we also need to remember we all do a lot, and we need to appreciate each other. And now, please rise in body or spirit and join us in singing our closing hymn, number 395, Sing and Rejoice. We will sing this 3 times.
Words which can be found on the laminated sheets with the hymnals. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. In benediction, I offer this prayer from the Archbishop Desmond Tutu. He prays, "Dear child of God, you are loved with a love that nothing can shake, a love that loved you long before you were created, a love that will be there long after everything has disappeared. You are precious, with a preciousness that is totally quite immeasurable. And God wants you to be like God, filled with life and goodness and laughter and joy. Joy can occur in spite of suffering. Focus on others, avoid material desires, choose how you can respond. Joy is a byproduct of a life well lived. It is much bigger than happiness. So go now in peace, in love, and in joy."